Anyway, with Masters behind us, thank God, it's time to get to work. We don't remember Masters anymore. On those promised Viper and Yoru changes. Details are below, but remember that we'll keep a close eye on how these play out once they're live. Slide on those headphones and enjoy HRTF, which helps pinpoint enemy footsteps, reloads, and deathmatch respawns using... Please make it so that you don't... Anyway, we don't like people who use max volume in DMs. Those are the boring people. Using a simulated surround sound space. Also, your love of escalation means we're returning the favor with some ability updates and loadout variations for the mode. Oh my goodness, Bucky, look at your nerf. Agent updates. Viper. In the wake of Masters, we're introducing some bigger updates to our agents. With Viper first in line, we looked at a lot of possible changes for her, but ultimately landed on changes that pushed what makes Viper's play pattern unique and still resonate with her theme. When compared to other controllers, we want Viper to make big committed decisions that truly alter the map and how both sides plan around her influence. She could also claim ground with force and dare opponents to challenge her. The updates to Toxin should also project more threat on enemies who consider pushing her smoke, and will hopefully add a significant bite to her marquee toxic screen. Paired with a couple other buffs and some new tools for learning and practicing lineups, we're excited to see if Viper can deliver on the deadly impact she promises while solidifying her spot on our roster. Toxin, the passive. Enemies that cross through Viper's poison cloud, which is her Q, toxic screen, which is her E, or Viper's pit, which is her ultimate, are instantly inflicted with at least 50 decay. Their decay level increases the longer they remain in contact with Toxin. While in Cloud, decay over time decreased from 15 per second to 10 per second. While out of Viper's Cloud, delay before health regen decreased from 2.5 to 1.5. Does this mean if you walk through a Viper wall or her Q, you instantly lose 50 health? Is that what this means? So that brings us to the second line, which means when you walk into, if you're basically standing in a Viper Q or her wall, it used to be you would minus 15 per second. Now it's minus 10. So that's a little bit of a nerf, but it's still, this is a big buff if it's working as we think. And then this is also kind of a nerf, but it's to make up that you lose 50 health instantly, where it used to be you had to wait 2.5 seconds to get the regen, basically, for when it goes down, it goes back up. And so now it's 1.5 seconds. So the second you walk through it, it looks like you lose 50 health instantly. And then after 1.5 seconds of not being in it, it'll go back up. Poison Cloud can now immediately be redeployed and picked up, but grants a temporary charge instead of a permanent charge. I think this is really big. A lot of times if you throw your Q, you have to wait 8 seconds or something before to be able to throw it back down. Now it also, they nerfed it a little bit so that if you throw it and you suck it back in, you don't get it for the next round, this was the only agent that if you threw an ability and you sucked it back, you would get it for the next round. So now they just made it so the Q is the same as all the other agents, like Cypher, Killjoy, if you throw something, you suck it back in, you don't get it for the next round. So that's the same. If active when Viper dies, Poison Cloud will remain up for an additional 2 seconds or until Viper runs out of fuel. So if you kill Viper and her Q is active, the Q will stay up for whatever is longer between 2 seconds or Viper has no more fuel left. So I think that's actually pretty good. That means like your Viper could essentially entry if she really need her to while her stuff is all up. And if she dies, the stuff will still be up for her team. So I think that's pretty good. I think that makes her way more powerful as a lurker. Like she can actually be an aggressive lurker. But I don't think Viper could be your only smokes. Anyway, pickup distance increase from 200 to 400. That's just quality of life. Probably so that if you throw Viper one ways, they're easier to pick up. So you don't have to, try to thread the needle a lot of the time. So I think that's good. Just quality of life for Viper mains. Toxic screen E. So it's the same thing with her E, her big wall. If you die when her E is up, it'll stay up for 2 seconds. I guess this one, I guess it's not the same though. Her E doesn't stay up until it runs out of fuel. It's only 2 seconds on her wall. That's kind of weird that they would do one and not the other. Anyway, full blind distance from the wall increase to better match the blind distance from the edge of smokes. I like this one because the way the Viper wall works is it goes like, it's like this. It's like a snake, the wall. So sometimes like you could kind of thread the needle and get on the, you know, like the far, when it goes far right and then it goes back to left, you're not blind in that moment. So like her wall there was a lot of one ways that even Vipers can sit in. You just couldn't see them because they're like blending into the wall half the time, right? Because the wall is snaking. So I think this will make it so that it's harder to make one ways because close to the wall you'll be blinded for as it wasn't before. Her snake bite equip time decreased from 1.1 to 0.8. I think this is good too. For some reason, I mean, I'm somebody who played Viper in the beta a lot. You guys loved watching Viper for some reason. It did feel like sometimes when you would pull out her molly, so her C or her snake bite, it would take forever to pull it out. And like you didn't have time if they're rushing you, pull out the molly, throw it, and pull the gun back out. Maybe this will help it. I mean, it's 0.3 seconds, so that's kind of a lot in the timing for a game like Valorant. So in custom games with cheats and infinite abilities enabled, Viper can hold down activate on poison cloud and toxin to recall them. This is big. It's so annoying trying to find Viper lineups because you had to wait every time. You had to run over, pick it up, go. It's so annoying. So this is huge quality of life for Viper mains if you're looking for stuff. In custom games with cheats and infinite abilities enabled, Poison Cloud's landing location is shown on the minimap while equipped. Another really good quality of life change. Makes it a lot easier for you to find lineups. I guess ultimately, I think these are big buffs to Viper. I think the insta 50 decay is big, and maybe she'll start to be picked a lot more. I mean, some teams are already experimenting with her, and I could see Viper being pretty good now. I still think her ult is kind of trash. I still think that he should rework her ult because it seems like a lot of the times her ult is more of a liability than it is a positive. And a lot of Viper mains that you see, like the only time they really ult is just for post plant or like for retaking. So yeah, I think that these changes are big, but I still think they haven't figured out her ult yet because I don't like it. Yoru. Yoru carries a fantasy that you've been excited to see through, but we believe a few restrictions have made it harder to access. Although Yoru is a unique duelist on the roster, both in pace and in playstyle, we think he should be a strong contender for good compositions and want to ensure the value he offers to his team is more consistent throughout a match. I feel like anytime there was a Yoru that was picked in comp, anytime before this patch, it was insta-dodge. Nobody wanted to play with the Yoru because they're just bad. Moving on, Blindside, his flash ease. Flash activation time decreased from 0.8 to 0.6. This probably means it's harder to dodge because it's in the air for less time, right? So you can see it coming from, or it used to be able to see it for a year. Now it probably is just harder to dodge. And the flash duration increased from 1.1 to 1.5. I think this is a big one too. I think his flashes were one of his worst things before because they just weren't good. Now it's like, that's a long flash compared to before. That's a good buff. Gate Crash E. Gate Crash is no longer refreshed on kills and is instead replenished every 35 seconds. This might be big for like Sova meta because Sova Omen meta because the intervals, the way that like pro and most teams kind of structure a lot of their strats, the ones that, you know, have strats, the ones that don't just run around at you, they're kind of based on these intervals. So now all of a sudden Yoru is another interval synergy, I'll call it, since he gets a TP every 35 seconds. So every arrow and every smoke you get from Omen, like once the arrow recharges, the smoke recharges, now you also have another duelist that has a 35-second interval recharge. So I think that could be good. Every single time you arrow and smoke, you can also TP, which I think is kind of like, that's a lot of pressure. I don't know if Gate Crash, I don't know if like Yoru in general is going to be picked, but I think that's a very interesting interval synergy. So lifetime of the Gate Crash increased from 20 to 30. Okay, so you can kind of, I'm sure it doesn't recharge while it's on the ground, but you can just keep it there for a long time. You have more plays you can do with it since it's going to be alive and active for longer, which I think is, I think that's a good buff too. The range at which the Great Crash fragment is revealed from stealth decreased from 7 to 4. This makes it a lot harder for you to actually tell where the TP thing actually is. I kind of like this. This makes Yoru's TP way more valuable because it's going to be harder for the other team to actually catch it. So the good Yorus who have like, I don't think they're going to have lineups, but as long as you don't throw his TP like in a really obvious spot where the other team finds it, it's going to be harder to find it now. Visuals for visibility range added to the moving fragment. So you probably just can tell on the minimap, like if they're close to it, it'll be revealed. I think it's good. I don't know if these like utilities changes are really I don't know if he's like a duelist anymore, right? Like they're buffing his utility. I feel like now he has a lot of utility, and as a duelist, I feel like almost you don't want your Yoru to die anymore because he gets his gate crash and because it's a synergy, it's like a 35-second interval synergy. I don't know though. I haven't really thought about it at all. I guess the last thing they changed is Dimensional Rift, aka his ult. Ult points reduced from 7 to 6. Yoru can now reactivate Gate Crash while in Dimensional Rift. This means his ult is literally free. It used to be if you ulted, you had to come out of your ult to be able to teleport back, meaning you could just die in that second. Now you can literally ult, get free info, TP back, literally no cost to you. It doesn't, there's no risk, I mean. Duelists naturally are like aggressive and you want to get super aggro with them. I don't know if the changes to his utility, like I don't know if his just kit in general really makes him a duelist. I'm not sure, but I do think that he's a lot better now. And I still think that the idea of like duelists and initiators and sentinels, I don't like that everybody, including myself, everybody just kind of assumes that duelists have to be entries and controllers have to be like, you know, passive. And I think there's so many different ways to play every agent, and depending on your comp, a duelist might even play as a support sometimes. And I think this duelist specifically is going to be the first one that we see that'll be more of a support. Killjoy, quality of life change. Her C, aka her Molly. Killjoy can now pick up deployed nanoswarm grenades during the buy phase to get the charge back. Weapon updates. The Buckster. We want to focus the Bucky more on its actual primary firing mode and make that the strength you try to optimize when choosing a Bucky versus alternate firing mode. The right click should be more of a tool you can use when you can't get into the effective left click range, or you just need some reliable chip damage. The spreads are reduced on both to increase reliability and smooth the damaging curve. The alt fire's significant reduction in pellet count is a trade-off to being able to extend the range as much as it does for a shotgun. Bullet spread decrease from 3.4 to 2.6. This means the left click is better. The recoil is tight, or not the recoil. Well, yeah, I guess it would be. The recoil is tighter, which means it's gonna hit more accurately. Decrease the spread on the alt fire from 3.4 to 2.0. So again, this actually makes the actual spread on right click actually tighter as well. So it's easier to land shots. It's not as random where it's like a normal shotgun pellet. It'll be closer. But updated damage curve for both primary and alternate fire. 0 to 8 is 20. 8 to 12 is 12. Beyond 12 is 9. And this is the big one. Reduce the amount of pellets in a right-click shot from 15 to 5. You literally have 1/3 of the bullets. I think this makes the right-click kind of trash. I don't know if you can even... It sounds to me that unless you literally headshot with all like 3 or 4 or 5 of the bullets, you're not going to one-shot somebody with armor with a shotgun from medium range anymore. I was saying that I think that the change to the Bucky needs to be... I don't think a $900 gun should be able to one-click somebody from medium range because it's a shotgun, and shotgun should be used only in close ranges. It looks like the left click is still going to be a lot better now, but it looks like the right click is going to be kind of trash. Head related transfer function, HRTF. Now this is something that Counter-Strike added within the last couple of years, and this to me, I think it saved Counter-Strike sound. The sound was kind of annoying, and you couldn't really tell sometimes where footsteps were coming in CS. Now I think this might really help Valorant if it works the same way. What direction do those raised footsteps come from? Is she moving in front or behind you? With HRTF on a pair of headphones, you'll be able to better pinpoint other players based on certain sounds. HRTF processing relies on a profile that contains measure. Okay, I don't really care about this. The implementation uses a profile based on a single side measurement and may not. Okay, we encourage users to give HRTF a few tries that may take some getting used to. Yeah, this is like when HRTF first came out. For CS, people turned it on like, oh my god, it sucks. But then after a while, they're like, wait, it's actually way better. Added an audio toggle located in the audio settings panel to enable HRTF. HRTF allows players wearing headphones to play audio in a simulated surround sound audio space. I think it does work for in-ears as well. Currently, only footsteps reloads and deathmatch respawns will be rendered in 3D with HRTF enabled. Please don't buff people who just use max volume in deathmatch, man. Honestly, they should just make it so that there's no footsteps. No respawn sound, no footsteps. Just let everybody just throw them out to the wolves. It's recommended that players please turn off any other 3D audio processing while using this feature. Okay. See, to me, I don't know if you guys can hear this on stream. I don't know how the positional audio works, but it is way easier to tell where this person is when HRTF is on versus when it's off. It is actually insane. It's actually so much better. You can like exactly pinpoint where they are. If you're not using headphones, obviously it's not gonna really, you're not gonna be able to tell, but you can also like, you can tell the distance, like you can tell it's from above you. And here it literally just sounds like it's right on my right. Like you can literally tell it's above me instead of not above me. That's good. That is good. Please update this game now and give me this HRTF.
그럼 패치 노트 2.06 시작하겠어. 이제 나를 좀 더 자주 찾게 될 거야. 내가 꽤 강력해졌거든.
There's really no point to have the sound on, right? So
먼저 부패 효과는
they're showing, so it is what we thought, where you instantly lose 50 health.
적의 체력을 즉시 감소시키지.
I think that's pretty big. Also, does it stack though? If you run through, it must not stack. If you run through the wall and the it's not like you just lose instantly 100, right?
다들 독 조심하라고.
So this is just showing that literally all of her abilities, if you run through anything, you instantly lose 50 health.
Q 스킬도 볼까? 가스 방사기를 주운 후 즉시 사용 가능한 대신 다음 라운드까지 가져갈 순 없도록 변경되었어. 그리고 내가 죽어도 연령.
You can do this. Auto translate to English. Wait, that's nice. If I die, the activated smoke and toxic will remain for a maximum of seconds, which is 2. Okay. I'm not throwing it away as a joke, saying to make good use of my virtue.
Is this just new stuff that's happening?
다음은 요루 소식이야.
Does everybody get this or just
기본
me?
스킬
Yeah.
관문
Basic skills and door
시간이
collisions are
지나면
the only ones to
충전되도록
charge
바꿔줘.
over time.
요루, 어디로 간 거야?
Where did you go?
차원 표류 상태에서
It's hard to find it
방어
because you can use the
충돌을
light
쓸
source
수
collision
있대.
in
널
dimension. This
잡는
just
게
means you can
더
E
어려워졌네.
while you're ulted, which is good.
마지막은 킬조이.
At the end, it is possible to collect grenades. Okay, we know this one. You can throw the killjoy
나노
mine and
소음
you just suck it back.
배수할 수 있어. 안심하는 녀석들이 보이는데?
They just bring it back.
많이들 기다리던 그 총의 변경 소식.
Okay, this is what I want to see the Bucky
흔히
changes.
말하는 버키존에서 한 방에 죽는.
So the one shot from before from this range, how much damage did it do?
이제 사라질 거야. 나도
It literally hit all 5 bullets in the body, didn't kill him.
속이 시원하네.
But
시스템
I didn't show how
변경도
much damage
볼까?
it did. I want to see how much damage it did.
에스컬레이션 모드가 좀 더 화끈해졌어. 데미 장식을 사용할 때는 폭발팩이 함께
Escalation?
충전되고
These are
눈덩이
just
발사기를 들었다면
The changes, the fun changes to
근접
escalation.
무기를 들었다면 순풍을 쓸 수 있어. 어때? 좀 더 신나겠지?
We already read all of these, so if you
이제
missed it.
진짜 마지막이야.
And so this is just saying you can, from the leaderboard, you can just right click on
잘하는
somebody and view
친구들의
their
전적이
career.
궁금해? 그럼 리더보드에서 바로 전적을 확인할 수 있을 거야.
Yoru timer
더
refreshes while
자세한
TP is down. Oh,
내용은
really?
홈페이지에서 꼭 확인해.
That's actually kind of
버키도
crazy.
변경되었으니 구독과 좋아요는 눌러주겠지.
Okay. That's everything.